Hi, Year 7. Welcome to Term 6, Lesson 7, which is all about the Wars of the Roses. Now, just to start, what I would like you to do is I'd like you to watch the video clip that I have attached on Show My Homework, please. It's a horrible history. It's all about the Wars of the Roses. Right, so following that rather quick video, hopefully you are all now experts on the Wars of the Roses. If you're thinking, no, that video was a little bit quick, that's absolutely fine. Let's start from the beginning. So what I would like you to do, please, is I'd like you to copy out the following paragraph that I have written. But you can see that I've got a little bit confused, and while everything I am writing makes sense, my spelling, my punctuation, and my grammar is not very good, Year 7. So when you write it out, what I'd like you to do is to find my mistakes and to correct them and to highlight it in your work so that when we mark it, we can see where the mistakes were. So when you're writing this out, you're going to try and correct for me 5 spelling errors. There are 5 words there I've spelt wrong. There are 3 capital letters that should not be there. So I've capitalised 3 words that shouldn't have had capital letters. And I've also missed 3 capital letters. So can you put your title, The War of the Roses? And I'd like you to write that out, but with perfect spelling, punctuation and grammar, please. Okay, so we've done our starter, we've watched the video. If you would like to watch the video again, please do. And let's get started on sorting out the War of the Roses. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to read the information sheet down as far as the interpretations. You don't need to read the interpretations yet. And then I'd like you to complete the following tasks. Now, when you do these, I would either like you to write the answer in a full sentence, or I would like you to write out the question and write the answer underneath it. You can bullet point the answer, but only if you write out the question as well. There is a help sheet available if you are struggling, so please feel free to use that for this task. Well done! So you should now have a good understanding of the general history of the Wars of the Roses, the reasons why war broke out. And what I'd like you to do is to read the interpretations. They're just under the section that you've read on the information sheet. And you've got 2 questions there. So interpretations A and B do agree on some details, and I want you to find out what these details are. And you might like to quote these from the interpretations. And in question 2, the interpretations both comment on the impact of the Wars of the Roses on English people. And with this one, I'd like you to tell me, how do they differ? What are they different? What are they disagreeing about? Okay, so for task 3, I'd like you to carry on reading the last section of the information sheet. So that's the section under the map that I've put on your information sheet. And then I want you to write me the following answers. So who was Henry Tudor? I bet a lot of you have heard that name, Tudor. Which battle did Henry Tudor win? Which king did Henry Tudor defeat? And after Henry Tudor was crowned King Henry VII, how does he end the fighting between the families of the York and Lancaster? Now, as ever, please do write these in full sentences, or write out the question and bullet point the answer. If you are unsure of anything, the help sheet will support you with this, so please do give it a look. And then, once you've done those, there's task 5. Now, in 2012, so 8 years ago, researchers found the body of Richard III, the York king killed at the Battle of Bosworth by Henry Tudor's army in 1485. Now, not surprisingly, he wasn't looking great, so we won't do any pictures for this one. But I want you to imagine that you've been asked to produce a short report for a children's news programme of the War on the Roses to explain to them who this man is and why he is important. Now, I don't want a long one, so the report is to be no more than 60 seconds, and it must contain everything a young historian would need to know about Richard III. Now, because it's a report, you can do this any way you want. If you want to write it, I want a maximum of 5 lines. If you want to record yourself, either as an audio or as a video, absolutely brilliant. We would love to see that work. But remember, maximum speaking time is 60 seconds. And our final task for this week's lesson. So the extension task, scholars, you are expected to do this. There is no choice in it. But everybody else, if you would like to have a go at this, we would really love to see your work. So the first thing is, again, I've got mixed up year 7, and I've mixed up all my dates. So I'd like you to create me a timeline, putting those dates in chronological order and telling me what happened in each year in the Wars of the Roses. And the second thing I want you to do is to write me a narrative account of the Wars of the Roses. Now, this is like you did for the Battle of Hastings. So if you remember, it has to be in chronological order. So it has to be in the order, time order, that it happened. And secondly, it must show those processing links. So the consequences, the results, this led to this, as a result of this, an outcome. Those words are really, really important. Well, that ends today's lesson, Year 7. Thank you very much for joining me. As ever, can you upload your homework onto Show My Homework or email it to your history teacher? If you have any queries or questions, please do get in touch with us, either on Show My Homework or by emailing your teacher. Thank you very much, Year 7, and I will see you next week for our final history lesson of this term, of Term 6, 2020.